So I'm Jen. I spent 3 months in the ICU at Longmont United Hospital after being diagnosed with double pneumonia and acute respiratory distress syndrome. Touch was so important from everyone who was involved in my care, but I would say most important from my nurses, because first of all, they were with me more than any other healthcare provider. The nurses were there the most. So they were also in charge of doing a lot of the touch that was not particularly pleasant, whether it was certain medication or whether it was certain procedures they had to do. They were often ripping things off me or ripping things out of me, and that wasn't pleasant. So on the opposite side of that, when they weren't doing those things, my nurses were always hands-on with me. I tend to think of this arm as being, I think, having healed a lot, the side of my body on the right-hand side, because the way I was positioned in the room, all the nurses would come in from my right. And always they would come and they would put their hands on this arm, or they would touch this hand. They would spend time on this side. I remember having a night nurse who was very good at the loving, gentle, wanted kind of touch. And she would spend a lot of time, whenever she would be talking to me, she would be holding my hand, or she would be touching my arm. And she would always get sort of close to me. And I remember she had beautiful nails, and I would always compliment her on her beautiful nails. And one morning I woke up, and the first thing I noticed was all of my fingernails and all of my toenails had been painted bright pink and had little rhinestones, little silver rhinestones all over my toes. What I'd like nurses to take away from my experience is to remember how many minutes or hours in a day patients are receiving touch that is important and it is medically indicated, but it's not nurturing necessarily. It's not reinforcing of their sense of self, their sense of safety. Try to be very intentional about how, when, and how much you touch your patients with that kind of intentionality that is healing and loving and caring and purposeful.